Look what Jake got. What's up, everyone? This is Jake with poke.pax. And I did something that I never thought I would really do this like early in my collecting career. As you guys know, I'm the one that kind of got out of collecting and didn't keep my stuff. Frank has all of his stuff, but some of the vintage stuff I've been trying to get back into, but it's so expensive and it's hard to find, and to piece it together is kind of a pain in the butt. But I've since I started collecting, I've been putting my money in these like into random spots. I would buy PSA cards or like cheap PSA cards just because I thought PSA meant that the card was worth something, and I've come to find out that just because a card isn't a PSA 10 like case doesn't mean it's like technically worth anything. I mean, you can send anything to PSA. So I spent some money there, and yeah, I reached out to PokeRev. I know you guys probably know who he is. I reached out to him on Instagram, and I kind of told him, hey, this is my monthly budget. I want to invest it into Pokemon cards, whether it be, you know, new or used. I told him kind of what I was doing now, and then basically what he told me to start doing with a lower budget of collecting and investing in Pokemon cards would be to look on Facebook, Craigslist, that kind of stuff, and try to find people's old sets, whether it be vintage or even newer sets, and try to get deals on them. Try to, even if you're buying 100 cards, if 5 of them turn out to pay for the other ones, then that's the kind of stuff you got to look for. So I saw this on Facebook while I was scrolling one day. The lady wanted $175 for it. I researched it a little bit on that PokemonPrice.com, and it came out to be, I think it was like 107. I think it was like almost $170 to buy every card from like TCG Player or Troll and Toad. So I offered her $140. She lived about an hour and a half away from me, so I offered $140. And she's like, oh no, I think I need to keep it at the 175, which I was fine with. And I just told her, hey, I'm still interested in these. If no one buys it and you want to take my $140, you know, I'll drive down some night and buy them off you. So I asked her a couple times if she'd like meet halfway, and she wouldn't meet halfway. So I just kind of let it go. And then about a week and a half, maybe even a week, she replied back. She said, hey, would you be able to meet this week? I'll take 140. So I drove down there. My dad actually came with, who has no care in the world for Pokemon cards or anything like that. So that was pretty funny letting him watch that transaction go on. And yeah, so we met in like a Target parking lot, and we hopped out of the truck, and I asked her if we could look at him on the back of the tailgate, and she's like, yeah, but it's really windy out here. I don't want him to blow away. And she's like holding him by her chest, and I'm like, well, I think it'll be just fine here. Just like give me the cards so I can look at them. So she finally gave them to me, and I was like going through them. I asked her if I could pull some of them out, and I think the first one I pulled out was this Flareon, and it wasn't sleeved. I still don't think it is, but I pulled it out, and it was like in really good condition from what I could tell. It was like 6 o'clock at night, so it was starting to get kind of dark, but I couldn't see any big flaws to it. The card felt real. The warping it actually gave me a good vibe, because it kind of told me that it's been sitting here a while. And then the pictures on Facebook, I couldn't see these little, I don't know, what would you call them, like heat wrinkles, Frank?
No,
I don't know. There's
just like scratches in it almost.
Well, even like the plastic was like rippling. So I knew it had to have been old. Like if you're going to print off a bunch of fake jungle booster cards, or, you know, jungle set packs, and try to fill up a set to sell online, like some of this weird stuff on the side just kind of made me think that this is probably a legit purchase. And yeah, I mean, if someone was making fake cards today, they'd be in like a brand new sleeve, and you wouldn't be able to tell the aging of the sleeve. So yeah, anyway, so I asked her like whose set it was, or why is she getting rid of it, and she goes, oh, I never collected Pokemon. My aunt collected them for me. She thought I'd get into it, and I never really did. And she said I was just going through the house, and I noticed I had the full set, so I thought I'd try to sell it on Facebook. And then we got to talking a little bit, and she said that she's got a bunch more. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty sweet. And we kind of, you know, bullshitted for a little bit. And she said, well, if you can add me on Facebook if you want, you can just message me if you're looking for particular cards and stuff like that. And I thought that was pretty cool of her to do that. And I think I'll probably reach out to her again maybe later on if I'm looking for a certain card just to see if she has it, because she does have some weird older stuff. And about 2 hours before I drove down there to see her, she had some base set 2 cards, and she had like $25 on them. One was this Clefable, actually. It was a Clefable base set 2. I think she had $25 on that. She had a Ninetales. She had $25 on that. And what was the other one? I can't remember, but she had $25 on each of them. And I looked them up online, and I mean, they go for anywhere from like $8 to $10. So I responded. I said, hey, my wife gave me $150. Could we work out a deal for those base set 2 cards that unfortunately they're not worth, $25 each? And she's, oh, I'm sorry. I would need to have $40 for all 3. I'm like, okay, sounds good. I'm like, I'll just put the $10 in my tank for some gas money. And that was that. And she said, sounds good. See you in a little bit. And I kind of told her like, hey, I'll take these cards. I kind of told her what I was gonna do with them. I'll probably hold on to these. I'll re-sleeve them, put them in new pages. And then I also just kind of threw around the idea of maybe throwing some of the really good ones in to get graded. And then like I can just fill in and keep the set complete. But I didn't really want to break up the set. Like I could just, with Frank's PSA submission, eventually I could send in, 16 cards? 9? Whatever it is, but I could send all the hollows in if I wanted to just to see what they get. But then I'm left with that void and I no longer have the complete jungle set. And she's like, oh yeah, I see people put them in like plastic cases. And I said, yeah, that's called PSA. And we kind of talked about what that was a little bit. And she seemed somewhat interested. And I gave her the money and I'm like, all right, well, thanks a lot. And she goes, oh, I have one more thing for you. And I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird. You're running back to your van. She goes to her van. She like was digging in her purse and she comes back out with the base set, or the base 2 Clefable, and it's in a little sleeve. And she goes, here you go. She goes, it's probably in a better hand. It's probably better off with you than with me anyway. She goes, I think I have 3 of them.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, sweet. So I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, you sure? She's like, yeah, that's totally fine. I appreciate you driving, the hour and a half to come look at them and stuff. And yeah, so I took that and sat down in the truck and I let her leave before looking at the Chansey card, or the Clefable card, because I was not expecting that at all. And I pulled it out of the sleeve, and that thing is like packed, like it's nice. Oh, even though like base set 2 cards aren't worth a lot, it was still really cool. So I might do something with that, but I don't know. So I'm just kind of going through here for you guys to see all the cards, because I don't know if I've done that yet, but yeah, it brings back a lot of nostalgia when we go through this stuff. And my story is way different than Frank's story on the jungle stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool. When I was looking through on Facebook, I didn't even realize, because I was just kind of always looking at that first page with the hollows, but she gave me, so I have one first edition Dodrio, and I think the Electrode. Yeah, the first edition Electrode. And then I posted this because obviously I'm kind of excited about it. I posted it in Lootbox TV's Discord. Excuse me. And I told him, hey guys, look what I picked up last night. And the one guy goes, they never made a first edition Electrode. He's like, you got ripped off. And I'm like, no way. And so I went and researched it on eBay, and sure enough, it is a real card, and he was just pulling my leg. But anyway, I'm getting kind of the cops. So, but that's, yeah, I'll be all right. I just need some water. But anyway, yeah, so that's kind of the beginning of my vintage collection, and there'll be plenty of more of these coming from Frank and I. So I appreciate it, guys, and make sure to hit the like button, do a comment, and give us a subscribe. Thanks.